The history of the Delta is one fraught with near constant change. Once the region acclimates to a certain ethnic hierarchy, a new one arrives ready to topple the established social order. The original Native Americans were driven out by the Spanish. The Spanish were forced to leave after the Treaty of Madrid. The North rolled out the Emancipation Proclamation, and with it, the millions of freed blacks now attempting to carve out a life separate from that very same peculiar institution.
The Delta Regional Authority here to talk about the agency that is charged with trying to fight poverty in the Delta region.
Well, we have the Promise Grant here that was given $30 million through the federal government, and they have been helping the school systems. They've been helping some of the parks in our area be upgraded and put new equipment in.
The Promise Grant was awarded to the Mississippi Delta to improve childhood education programs in schools. Over a 5-year period, the Delta would receive roughly $30 million. The funding would focus on improving schools and giving family support systems to promote early childhood education.
So what are you charged with doing? What specifically?
We try to make investments in 4 key areas: basic public infrastructure, transportation, workforce training and development, and
the education system in the Delta, it seems to be lacking. And I don't know the fix. I don't know the fix to that. I don't believe pouring more money into education. I just think there needs to be more qualified people to teach.
You know, we certainly need help in the Delta because we have a lot of elderly people. We have a lot of people that are disabled and are on disability. And we just have a lot of poverty in our area, especially in the Delta. It's just here, unfortunately. So we have churches that help. The city sponsors the Salvation Army. We give a donation to the Salvation Army annually.
There's no incentive to work and to better yourself, really.
In the 1930s, FDR proposed something called the New Deal. At its core, the New Deal established welfare, which has devastated communities across the country, and the Mississippi Delta is no different. There are too many overlapping programs in place within the totality of the welfare system. For example, there are over 34 different housing programs set up, which makes tracking how effective these programs very difficult. For the president, cutting these programs slowly but surely is a great way to start addressing how horrible this welfare system is, which in turn could possibly start reversing the damages done in the Mississippi Delta.
The federal debt had doubled. The New Deal had created circumstances where unemployment was still at 20% or almost 20%.
If they had jobs, they couldn't get more government handouts. And welfare was never intended, or food stamps were never intended to be a way of life. They were intended to help those who were down and out until they could get a job. I don't believe the school systems are doing that. I don't believe the schools are instilling a desire to learn in order to better themselves, because they've become so used to just living off what the government gives them that there's no incentive for them to work hard and to make themselves better and to get out of poverty. I mean, they're just content to live in poverty.
And sadly, we do have a lot of obesity and high blood pressure and diabetes, and so that also leads to, because we're in a poverty area.
Didn't need to work, and if they worked, that would take away some of their government payments. And so I think that has just caused a culture of not wanting to work, and people just stayed at home, and then, you know, it just has become a way of life for most people. And I know this doesn't sound, I know it doesn't sound right, but to me, that's the problem. And until we somehow can convince I think it has to start in the schools to convince that they can rise above that, and they